if I dare use the word, the majority of people who would claim to be Muslim
are not living
no different to lots. Thing is, there aren't that
They've
many
been
Christians
sucked in.
who even claim to be, but they would be effectively like, you know,
they've been sucked in. They've been sucked in.
But
absolutely. Do you know? Don't hold back from that analysis, bro. Let me tell you. Let me be the first to tell you that. Unfortunately, if you look at Elixir Rank is an interesting tool for analysis. Elixir Rank is a website which ranks the rank of websites by how many people in a specific locality go on that particular website. If you go to any Arab country, choose any Arab country you like. Saudi Arabia. Okay, choose Egypt. Choose Morocco. Choose Algeria. Look at the top 20. Because I swear to God, this is actually a good way of tapping into what people are interested in. It's actually one of the best ways now, in my opinion. This is one of the best ways to find out what people in this world are interested in. Because now most people have internet. So we find out what they're interested in by what they serve online. How they serve. Right. So we go to do it today. I've done this before. Go to Algeria. Go to Egypt. Go to Saudi, and then compare it with Brazil. Right. Do you know what you'll find really interesting? You know what you'll find really interesting, my friend? There's not much difference. Do you know that is the shocking reality of this world? There is not much difference. If you look at America, what they're interested in, top 20, what you're going to find? Number 1 is Google. Number 2 is Facebook. Number 3 is YouTube. Number 4 is, it's going to be like that. Number 5, number 6, then you have some 2 or 3 pornography websites in there. Thank you very much. You know, I'm not going to mention any names, but there it is. It's in the top 20. And sometimes the Arab countries have an even higher, or the Muslim countries have an even higher rating than the Americans.
Behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, my friend. And there are
and
economic.
God can see through those doors.
Yeah, of course, but there are economic reasons for it. They get married later on. They're deprived and they become depraved. Anyways, no problem.
Human nature as well.
But the point is, globalization has led to that. So the thing is, humans are very similar. Whether they're humans in Brazil or in America or in Egypt, they like the same things. The cosmopolitan reality, the materialistic world, the American dream has encroached the world. Even now, this guy living in Zimbabwe, or this guy living in Zimbabwe. Seriously, the way I said that was quite funny. Zimbabwe, all right, or Kenya, or anywhere, You'll see. Look at the Kenyan, what they're watching online. Look at seriously, you'll be shocked. No, seriously, what they're watching online. You'd be surprised. What is this show? Tell me. I'm not going to give you the answer.
No. But I was just thinking about what they might be watching, and it kind of.
What is this show, man? It shows that. Listen. It shows that technology and the internet reality,
I think,
and the globalized world.
Sure.
Has sucked us into this spiritualist
I think I found
void.
Dive in and dive out.
Dive in. Tell me now.
Not so long ago, whether it was the right development or the wrong development, that character development was assumed to be part of education. Character development along a moral norm, and I'm not saying which is the right moral norm or whatever, but now it's a no-go zone.
Interesting.
So we're
Really
free-falling
interesting.
because we've removed the whole concept of developing character. And I know, with me, I had absolutely no barriers. When my mum, my parents got divorced, I was heavily drinking, had 3 brothers and a little sister. Everything broke down in the house. Normally it does this when a young person wants to get round his dad, and his dad's giving him a lecture, he'll go, shut up. And dad will go, what did you say? Nothing. A week later, he'll be, oh, shut up. And the dad's tired and he lets it go. Give it another month and he might go, we're never going to have that in this house. And this would be like with me. Okay, all right, it won't happen again. And then you might use it at somebody else, but he's really tired, so he lets that one go. And before you know it, you have a house with young men going, F off. Drinking and drunk, and this is what happened because all of the mechanisms of civilization had been taken away. Have you read the book The Lord of the Flies?
Yeah.
Now I think that is probably more.
That's another GCSE book, by the way, isn't it?
Actually,
what's
the only character development?
What's the guy called that wrote that book?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, you know your stuff, man. William Golden.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, William, you know your stuff, man. What do you do? Do you teach GCSE English?
Be talking about.
Okay, very good. William Golden, yes. William Golden is another really interesting character. You know his moral, yeah, is this because you know he wrote that book in 1950, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he wrote in 1950. Yeah, you can check, or maybe 1916.
Before it all went.
Yeah, because it was after World War II, and what he was trying to show was that power. His issue was because you know he had that power conflict between the. He was trying to show that power corrupts basically, and this links into John Steinbeck and Mice and Men, the other GCSE book, because really and truly, two things corrupt, right?
Yeah.
Power and money, and it's not that they corrupt; they have corrupted.
I know.
They have corrupted. We're corrupted now. Yeah, it's probably. And by the way, that's William Golden. That's exactly his perception of human nature. Human nature, according to William Golden, was Hobbesian.
Okay, right.
Thomas Hobbes was a philosopher.
Your stuff. You've been googling.
You've highlighted all the problems.
As long as you stay on the right
I'm coming to it, man.
be all right.
We need. Yeah.
You've highlighted
we've
the
established.
money.
Yeah.
People are saying,
No, we'll come to it.
X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
What is the solution?
We'll come to it. But we need to flesh out the problem.
we
The doctor's
understand.
still making the diagnosis, my friend.
You know,
Okay, listen.
Can I just say this very, very quickly? Because
Yes.
I got in the same position with lots of my people, friends and
Establish
things.
the problem.
Yeah, we would constantly churn around the problems, and that would become an orientation, and we would do nothing to say, you know what, maybe we now need to think of solutions. Listen, in fact, look, we know it's as bad as it could possibly be. It can get no worse.
A universal
no
solution.
More. Yeah, let's look at.
Not a solution just for a group of people, but
That's a good point. It's a universal solution.
That's applicable
You know, I think this is-
to the nature of man.
For me, I was drawn to an emergency
psychology and
solution
his emotion.
because I needed to do it immediately for my family's sake. And homeschooling is an emergency solution.
That's interesting, but let's go back to this point, right? Because we were talking about, so we know now.
We know how,
Do you know you were interestingly saying something? You were saying that now you got the boy in the house saying tell his mum or dad to F off, whatever.
Yeah,
You know there's a hadith, which is a prophetic saying,
right, yeah.
narrated by Umar ibn al-Khattab, which is one of the companions of the Prophet. He said that the Prophet said there's going to be certain things that are going to happen in the future, before the end of time. And do you know what he said? And talid al-amatu rabbataha, that the woman will give birth to her own master, meaning that the children will come back and basically be the one in control in that relationship.
Yes.
And also he said in that hadith, which is linked to the problem.
Sure.
He says that the Arabs, they would use yatatawalu fil bunyani, that they will try and compete in constructing tall buildings.
Okay.
So this is a reference to the capitalistic enterprise. This is a reference to exactly what is going on in Dubai at the moment. Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai is, you got the highest building in the world in Dubai.
Everybody's chasing.
You've got the second highest building, I think, now in Saudi Arabia. They're
competing with each other.
They're all competing with each other. So now the American dream has reached the Arab soil.
Yes.
You know, just as the hadith said.
Very powerful.
Just
philosophy.
it's a prophecy of the future. What's going to happen for you? Anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
The problems are outlined and highlighted.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual void that people have as a result of consumeristic living, materialistic living, the American dream, which is actually an American nightmare.
Sure.
You said yourself, you went to Ireland, what's that place called in Ireland?
Waterford, the Amish place.
The Amish place. You used to, in the morning, you used to stay there, reflect. You know, in our tradition, Islamic tradition, right? The Prophet Muhammad, who we believe is the final prophet. Is the final prophet,
Yes.
After all of the prophets, the line of prophets, you know, you got Jesus and Abraham and Moses. We believe that all of these were actual prophets. That Jesus, the Messiah, was a prophet. That, you know, Abraham was a prophet, and all these were prophets. And that Prophet Muhammad was the final prophet sent to the Arabs. So that's just a quick summary of what we believe in.
Sure.
But he, when he was young,
Sent to the Arabs. He came from the Arabs but sent to the world.
sorry. Right. Sent to the. Did I just say sent to the Arabs? Came from the Arabs. Thank you for that correction. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sent to the whole world.
Sure.
Like it says in chapter 34 of the Quran. That he, that we haven't sent you except for all of humanity. Right.
For sure.
So he was meant to be the final prophet sent for all of human beings.
Yeah.
Thank you for that correction. Because sometimes I say things and, you know, no one corrects me.
Yeah.
Good.
Accountability, which we need.
Right. But you know, he was sent in a desert area when he was young, like 6 years old or something.
Sure.
The philosophy of the Arabs at that time was to send their children to an isolated area, kind of like the Amish. Kind of like the Amish.
I'm interested. Now I'm cluing in on,
Trust me. He was sent there for a period of time, not forever, because the same exact philosophy as the Amish. The Amish say that the cosmopolitan reality corrupts. It can corrupt your thinking. It can corrupt your productivity. Do you know when you're dependent upon X, Y, and Z, your productivity level is actually stopped? You know, a farmer, you know, if you just analyze a farmer, you know, I'm interested in farmers. I'm interested in farmers. Why? Look at the farmers, how they live their life. Seriously, go and live with a farmer.
Can I dive in? Keep your thread.
Please, keep the thread.
The Amish believe that farming is the best way to raise a family because the farm is the school.
Thank you.
The father teaches the children by working with them. And it was in the Old Testament. You didn't send them out, they all scattered. You work in the home business. Exactly.
It's good. So here, the Prophet was sent outside of the cosmopolitan reality to keep away from that cosmopolitan reality.
How old would he have been?
He would have been like 6 years old at that age, He was set at 6 years old at that time, he was sent. Now, he came back. 6 years old, young age, came back. Then he was sent one more time. But this time to be what? A shepherd. Okay.
Right,
And each, according to our philosophy, according to the religious belief system that we have, all the prophets were shepherds. Why? If you think about what a shepherd does, what does a shepherd do? Guides the sheep.
You know what? I've got a shepherd's crook at home to remind me. I remember buying one and putting it on the wall.
The sheep. Have you ever seen a goat's face? Have you ever seen a goat's face? Have you ever seen a goat's face? A goat's, you know where the eyes of the goat are? Where are the eyes of the goat? They're on the side of the...
they are.
Do you know how amazing that is? Do you know how appropriate that is, my friend? Because...
We had goats.
Just imagine how your eyes were here. Just imagine. You'd be seeing what's...
Prey animal.
All right, now, what that means, if your eyes were here, you're seeing what's there. You need someone to tell you where to go.
Yes, you do.
A goat, by nature, needs linear direction.
Okay.
Sheep. Sheep are the same. Sheep are the same.
Yeah.
Now this is the thing.
Okay.
Just like the Prophet was a shepherd to the sheep, we are the sheep. The conveyor belt that you've just described is the conveyor belt of the sheep.
It is. It's that herd mentality that stops you breaking free. And it was all kind of interconnected, what we're saying.
The question is this.
Right. The great escape.
Where the hell are we going, man?
Can I attempt to give you the answer that I worked out for myself? Okay.
Give it to me.
You mentioned about the Prophet being taken away for a time and a time.
Yeah.
When I was completely corrupted, and I won't give you my whole testimony, but when I was shown the state of continual ignoring my conscience, repetition of extreme sin, more and more sin, your conscience eventually is dismantled. You can't hear it. You've turned it down. And when you've turned it off, you are capable of anything. And I got to that stage.
Right.
And then one night, I felt, and I'll be honest with you, I felt that I didn't know what God, I wasn't religious or anything. I felt the devil's presence palpable in my room in the dark. I've never felt the presence of evil so much, but it was in me as well, okay? And it got to the point where I would have been capable of killing myself, killing somebody else, going completely insane. And this is what happened by repetition of sin, small sin, bigger sin, bigger sin.
And you're talking about like pornography addiction, that stuff.
I'm talking about drugs and alcohol and being part of a gang and all of these things that we would have been doing. But then God, and I didn't know it was God then, allowed me to experience a time when I was 5 or 6, before everything had started to go wrong. And it was enough to convince me I was not always the person I was, which goes back to you when you're talking about purity and children. God must have breathed this feeling, a very simple thing of sitting in the sun with a spoon in the garden, playing with toy soldiers, and that unmasked the counterfeit, but God showed me what it was like. So I realised with my children, even if they do go into the world at 16, if I can protect the innocence that God has put in them, to allow that to define who they are, then even when they fall, they can recover. these people can't recover because they don't know they've fallen. They've never had that childhood purity.
It's also a process of nurturing, you know. So when we're nurturing children,
Yes.
I mean, most people, they nurture children in accordance to their own life experience, you know. So whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, parents tend to give children what they didn't have in their lives, you know, so their life experience. I mean, if we approach nurturing from that perspective, then it's not universal, it's individualistic,
Yeah.
individualistic kind of thing. So is there a kind of a framework or a structure of, I mean, because there has to be, I mean, human beings, like we said, our nature is the same, psychologically, biologically, emotionally.
I like this point
I mean,
because
we're the same. If I can
yes,
just-
sorry, finish it. Yeah.
So we're the same. And I mean, if we see in the natural world, we see a design, a pattern, and an order of ethics that creatures follow, you know, within their own carnivorous or herbivores or whatever, you know. So should there not then be, I mean, a structure that caters, a structure of nurturing that caters the human natural disposition, like a structure catered for the natural disposition of animals and other creatures.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So then obviously, I mean, we come back to the point of God, you know, the creator, X, Y, and Z. And I mean, although the spirituality, I mean, we spoke about a spiritual void within
How do you fill the void?
society.
Yeah.
There are also, we have to take into consideration that there are actually other so-called or spiritual understandings that have actually do not reach to God. So although it's a spiritual life, because it's not channeled, the spirituality is not channeled in the way of the prophets. Because remember, God sent prophets as an example for man to follow, you know. And we see from you know, Adam, Abraham, and so forth. I mean, these are men, and some we have historical records of, even like Prophet Muhammad. We have a historical record. We have Moses and X, Y, and Z. I mean, we have historical records that they actually really existed men, right?
For sure.
So
for sure.
they were kind of they were the examples for us to follow, you know. Now the question comes is, okay, which spiritual channel do we follow? Because all of them, I mean, there cannot be two truths to one event. There has to be only one truth, with all due respect. So that's why we're having a kind of an intellectual rationalization. We're rationalizing to see, okay, which one fits the human nature, because the revelation or the guidance of God for human beings must cater for the human nature, his psychology, so the nurturing and all of that.
Which is a good point. We'll talk about God,
So
the
example,
human
for example,
nature.
In Islam,
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad said
Yeah.
that we have equity in Islam. So men and women are different.
Yes.
Are different, you know. So girls should grow up knowing, like, God does godly things, right?
They have different societies.
Yeah,
There's
so
a male and
God
female
does godly
society.
things.
Yeah.
Men does manly things. Women do womanly things.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a balance. So what we look at, I mean, if you imagine like a sack of feathers, a kilo in weight represents women, and you put that on one side of the scale, and a brick or a rock that weighs a kilo, you put it on the other side of the scale, how is the scale going to be?
Sure.
It's going to be balanced, right? But the makeup of the composition of what's made up is two different things. So the women are the feathers, right? Because their nature is different, and the men are the rock because their nature is different. So there has to be nurturing that is different for both of them. Do you see? It can't be the same nurturing, because their psychology and their biology is actually different.
Oh, you're talking about between male and female?
Male and female.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess what let me just try and unpack what you're saying. You're saying that there needs to be an all-encompassing system that
caters for the
all right, and what is that system?
Human beings, men and women
That's
are
good.
human beings.
So the point is this. I think the first thing that we kind of have to discuss here is what is human nature, because this is the thing that I think all philosophers have disagreed with each other on. Yeah. All the, like Hobbes, we discussed with Thomas Hobbes. Yeah, he believed that human was evil by nature. He's evil by nature. That's why William Golden had that kind of, is inclined to power. All these things. The Islamic position is as follows. Actually, human being has two potentials.
Yeah.
And the Quran says, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So he gave the nafs, the human being, has the potential for good.
Yes.
I.e., and when we say good, we're talking about action which is in compliance with the Creator's demand. Yeah. And he is, and the human being has also got the potential for evil.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white in that sense, but there is something called the fitrah. Now the fitrah from the Islamic perspective is this purity. Now what is this purity? Number one.